Hello everybody, welcome to my channel. My name's Luisa. Do you like this necklace? If you haven't seen the tutorial, I will leave a link down below. But a few weeks ago, I was contacted by Beadpark. They're a beading supply company, and they asked me to select some beads. So I went onto their website and I found these gorgeous amazonite beads, and I made a tutorial showing you how to do this necklace. But today we're going to make a matching choker necklace, earrings, and bracelet set. So let me go ahead, turn my camera around, and I'll let you know the materials you're going to be needing. All right, here's the beautiful statement necklace that we made in the previous video. Amazonite beads, absolutely gorgeous. So this necklace ended up being 16 inches long, and my choker is going to be about, for me, if I were to make it for myself, because I'm kind of slender, I would make it 13 inches. So you're going to need to figure out for yourself how long you want the choker to be. It can be, the usual length is around 14 inches, but I'm going to make mine at 13 inches. So what we're going to do is we're going to take some of the beads that we used from this piece and incorporate that into the choker necklace. And what I've decided, I kind of made one ahead of time to give you some idea. You know, it was very tempting to use a thinner or a smaller, more dainty kind of a chain, but generally speaking, you know, if you want something to coordinate, it's better to use the same kind of chain. And I chose this chain because it's not real heavy, but it's not real dainty either. It's somewhere in between. It's a nice weight. The links are about 3 millimeters by 2 millimeters. So they're big enough to where you can hang, you know, some charms off it pretty easily. And as you can see, I used one of the 8 millimeter beads right there with a crystal below it, and then the other 4 charms are the crystals, the faceted crystals that I used in this necklace right here, because I wanted a little bit more sparkle. So I did that. That was a design choice that I made initially. I was going to add some of these flower spacer beads, but then I thought, no, I'm going to keep it all sparkly up top. So basically what you're going to need is one 8 millimeter bead, and then 5 of the faceted crystals, and of course some, you'll need one head, well, they're all head pins actually. So 5 head pins, and then a clasp. And of course, you know, some of you are wondering, why didn't you just attach it to this necklace? Well, the reason is that, you know, sometimes depending on the occasion, it's not that attractive to have so much adornment. So, you know, there may be times when you just want to wear a choker necklace and a little bit more casual, and then it may be other times when you want to dress it up a little bit more. So this gives you the choice of wearing one or the other or both. So that's the reason why I don't mind doing this kind of thing. I used to be totally into the 2-tier necklaces, and I still kind of am. I don't, you know, I still create 2-tier or sometimes 3-tier necklaces, but more often than not now I'm doing them separately so that I can give people a choice of, you know, however they want, whatever they want to wear for the occasion. All right, so as far as the chain is concerned, you will need one 13 or 14 inch piece of chain, and then the 5 crystals and the one 8 millimeter bead. That's what you'll need, and it's very simple. You basically have to find the center of your chain and then hang your charms off that. So I'm just going to go ahead and show you, for those of you who are beginners, real quick how that's done. So go ahead and get your materials and your tools, and I'll meet you back. All right, so I'm back and I've got my chain, and I forgot to mention that you will need some jump rings and then a clasp, and I'm using a lobster claw clasp. All right, so basically the first step is to find the center of your chain, and I don't like to count links, especially when the links are so small. So what I do is I get a head pin and I stick it into the first link, and then I stick it into the last link, just like this, and I find the center link. All right, and once you find that center link, you want to go ahead and get your head pin and put it in there so you don't lose it. That's where you're going to attach the center charm. All right, so here we go. The center charm has one 8 millimeter bead. Actually, the first thing that we thread is the crystal. So get a crystal and then your 8 millimeter bead. Okay, just like that. And then if you've watched any of my videos, you will know that I like to use the one-step looper tool. So that's what I'm using now to form a little loop, just like that. Okay, And then you're going to go ahead and do the same thing with each one of these crystals, because the necklace is only going to have, like I said, one big drop in the middle, and then the crystals for the 4 crystal charms. So same thing. Now if you're not using the one-step looper tool, of course, if you're a beginner, let me just go ahead and show you how we do that. So basically you kink it like this, you cut off the excess, and by the way, I use very long head pins that I got from Panda Haul about a year ago. I got a bag of 1400, and so whenever I cut off a piece like this, I save it, because then I can use this for to form eye pins or whatever. So I don't waste it. I know some of you are thinking, oh my gosh, she's wasting so many pins. And then you simply roll it with your round nose pliers until you get a nice closed loop. Okay, and then I always end up fiddling with it to make sure that it's straight, so that it's exactly how I want it. All right, so there's the center charm, and there's one of the crystal charms, and you're going to do the same thing with the other 3 charms. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I'll be right back. So I have attached a head pin onto all the charms, and now I'm ready to hang them onto the chain. But I wanted to go over something that's very important that you need to know. I think this is called Rolo chain. I don't know if you guys can see that. You know, there obviously there are different kinds of links or chains. There are some that are called cable chain, Rolo chain. You have to figure out, this is very important, because if you don't hang them properly, or if you don't hang them on the correct link, then it's going to constantly fight you. You're going to be fighting those charms constantly so that they lay flat on your chest. So basically you have to figure out which link you're going to select. And let me bring it up closer so you can see what I'm talking about. Basically we're going to hang it on one of these links, okay? And then I'm going to count, I think it's four links. So say I hang it on this one, I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I'm going to hang it on that one. Okay, so as you can see, there are links in between each one, but those are facing up. So the only ones I'm concerned about are the ones facing down. In other words, you don't want to hang a charm on one that's facing down and then count 4 or miscount and then hang one on one that's hanging up, because then the charm won't lay properly, or it won't lay the same as the other charm. So you got to take that into account when you're hanging your charms. Make sure you select the correct links depending on the type of chain that you use. This is a roller chain, so that's what I have to do with this type of chain. But you know, it's up to you how you want to do it. You can count 4 or 5 links. It all depends on how big the links are. So if I were to measure the distance between each one, let me just go ahead and do that. They're about approximately an inch from each other, okay? But like I said, it's your personal preference. It's what you like to wear, okay? I like mine a little bit more spaced out, so I'm going to put an inch in between each one. So that's what I'm going to do, and I'll hang the middle one first. So let me move this chain out of the way. Here's the piece of chain where I've already found the center link. That's where I'm going to hang that center drop. So let me get my pliers, and we'll grab a little 4mm jump ring. Okay, open it up. This is very simple, but I know there are a lot of beginners who would like me to go through each step. So I'm doing this mostly for the beginners. All right, so here we go. Let me go ahead and hang this first charm onto my chain. And because my links are so tiny, it's a little bit of a challenge getting that jump ring through. And then make sure that it's absolutely closed, because we're not doing any wire wrapping, so it's essential that you make sure that each jump ring is closed. So make sure you look at it from the top and the side. All right, so here we go. Now let's take a look and see the links. And now we want to ensure that we select the correct one. So if we count 4 links to the left, then this is the next one. Okay, can you guys see what I'm talking about? Let me bring it up closer. So we're going to count 4 links, and we're going to insert the next one into the 5th link, right where my fingernail is, my thumbnail. Okay, so I've opened up another jump ring and inserted the charm onto it, and as you can see, I've got a piece of wire right there so that I know which link to put it in. I don't want to lose that link. I carefully remove the wire. Okay, and then I ensure that I'm inserting it into the correct link. So there's 4, so this is the one, this is the 5th one. Okay, and then close it up. Make sure it's nice and closed. Check it from the top. Okay, all right, and then double check to make sure you hung it on the correct link and they're both hanging the exact same way. Can you guys see that? That's critical, because if you don't do that, they're just not going to lay properly. All right, so you're going to continue. Go ahead and hang 1 more on this side and then 2 on that side, and we'll finish it up. Okay, so I've hung all the charms, as you can see, and now all I've got to do is attach my clasp. So let me go ahead and take the little 4mm and open it up. And you can always do an extended chain on this one if you want to, so that people have a choice of wearing it long or short. I was struggling a little bit with these links because they were so small, and I could have used thinner jump rings, but I didn't want to change the gauge of the jump rings because the thinner they are, the weaker they tend to be. So I just did the best I could, and you know, I managed to get the jump ring through the link. So that's a consideration. You don't want to use real heavy gauge jump rings if you're using a finer chain, because you will never be able to get them through the jump rings through the links. All right, so this was pretty easy. Here it is, and I'm going to go ahead and pull out the statement necklace so you can see how beautiful they look together. All right, there we go. Absolutely gorgeous. Okay, so like I said, if you haven't seen the video for this necklace, I'll put a link down below so you can check it out. And I'll also put a link to all the products that I used to create the necklace. The only thing that's not on there is the chain. The chain I used out of my own stash. So you're going to have to, you know, decide what kind of chain you want and whether or not you want to go out and find some. But anyway, the next thing that I want to show you how to do is a quick pair of earrings to match this set, and then some bracelets as well. So let me put this away and I'll come back. Okay, so in order for everything to coordinate, you have to use some of the same components. So I'm going to use these teardrops to make the earrings, and I already have 2 set aside, and I'm going to loop them the same way, or thread them on to the pins the same way that I threaded on the components of the necklace. So you're going to need 2 head pins with for each teardrop, with a little flower spacer bead at the bottom, and then 2 eye pins, and actually this one needs to be converted into an eye pin. This is a head pin. So let me go ahead and snip it off. Since I have so many of these, I don't mind doing this. It's a lot more economical than to buy head pins. All right, so 1 8mm and a crystal. Okay. And then, of course, you're going to need some ear wires as well. So very simple, nothing fancy, but I wanted to show you because I know a lot of the viewers are beginners. So go ahead and form a loop, either with a one-step looper or manually. It's up to you. I like to use the looper because it's quick and easy. And for those of you who are wondering, there are different size loopers. This one creates very cute loops. I think they're 4mm loops. The inner diameter of the loop is 1.5 millimeters. So if you do go looking for this, I believe it's by Beadsmith. I could be wrong, but just Google up one-step looper, and then 1.5 millimeters is the one that makes the smaller loops. They've got different sizes. They have other ones that make bigger loops. All right, so we're going to do the same thing with these two. Put it in there, make sure that it's poking out the back through that hole, and be careful with the crystal. If you put the crystal too close to these jaws, it may shatter. So you want it up against the jaws, but not too snug. Okay, and then you bend it a little bit so that the loop is facing straight up and down. And I do have to fiddle with it sometimes. It's not perfect, but it's definitely a lot quicker than trying to do it manually. All right, so here we go. Now that we've got those threaded, we're going to go ahead and assemble them. Open up your loop and thread it in so that the crystal is actually at the top. Okay, you've got the crystal at the top, then your 8mm, then the teardrop, and the flower at the bottom. Then you get your ear wire, and the ear wire loops are very hard, so I usually don't open those. If I can open the component wire, I do. It's just a lot easier. And then of course you want to make sure that the loops are very closed, completely closed, so that you don't run into any issues of the piece failing on you. Very simple, very, very simple, but I wanted to go through the whole process for those of you who are interested, in case you've never done this before or you're not sure how to do it. Close it up, and then open up the other end, thread on the ear wire, and we'll close that up. Those are the earrings. When you get the necklace, you can see what it looks like with the necklace. Very pretty. Okay, so now the only thing I'm going to show you now is the only thing left are the bracelets, and I've already threaded them on, so I'm not going to spend too much time threading anything on. I don't want to waste your time doing that, so I threaded them on. Let me pull them out and I'll be right back. So here are the 3 bracelets we're going to make, and they're all stretch bracelets. So for each piece, I think I used a 10-inch piece of stretch cord, and I'm using this Crystal Tech 0.8 in thickness. I think that's what it is. It's fairly thick, I can tell you that, and I'm using it because it's I got it somewhere. I don't even know where I got it from, but I want to use it up, so I thought I would use it for these bracelets. Now when you're designing stretch bracelets, you have to figure out how you're going to close them up, either with a knot or a crimp or whatever. We're going to actually do crimps today, okay, and then we're going to cover up the crimps with some crimp covers. But you know, you're welcome to do knots if you want to. Sometimes, you know, when you do a knot and the holes are big enough, you can actually hide the knot inside the holes, put a little glue in on the knot, and then put it inside the hole. We're not going to do that today. We're not going to actually use glue at all, to be quite honest. We're going to use the crimps, and then we're going to hide the crimps with these crimp covers. So we're going to use that as a design element. So it's going to be like an additional bead. All right, so here's the 3 that I came up with. So this one has the crystals in the middle, and then the rest of it are the beautiful Amazonite beads. And we're gonna put a bead, so it'll go like this. Let me just get this out of the way. It'll go like this. I'll crimp it, and then we'll add a bead cover right there. So that'll be like a bead. It'll look like a bead by the time we're done. Okay, so that's part of the design. And how do you like my clips? Aren't they cute? I love these. I got a whole pack of these. I think I got these on Amazon. There are 10 pieces, and they come in so handy because they're very strong and they're tiny, so they're perfect for jewelry making. So I use these to keep the beads in place. And this next one here has the flower spacer beads, as you can see, and then I did add some 8/0 beads in between each one of these 8mm beads. So that's that one, and then this one has a pattern. So it's got 3 crystals, 3 amazonites, 3 crystals, 3 amazonites, and so on. And then the center up here has actually 1 8mm and 2 6mm on either side of that 8mm. And we're going to close that up again using a crimp bead. So the crimp cover will act like one of these 8/0 beads. It'll be approximately, not exactly the same size, but nobody will notice. So let me just show you real quick how I do this. It's very simple. Basically, I'll move these two out of the way. Basically, you're going to take a crimp, and these crimps are pretty big. They're 2x2. You want them big enough because if you're using a heavy cord like I'm using, you want to make sure that you can fit two cords inside the one crimp. So here's how we're going to do this. We're going to attach one end just like that, and then we're going to stretch it out so that it makes it easier for us to thread the other end through that same crimp. And then you're going to pull just like this, okay? Make sure there's no space. Make sure it's, you don't want it too tight, but you definitely want some movement, okay? Get your crimpers, and using the first divot, as you can see, go ahead and crimp it down really tight, and so you'll end up with two channels just like that, and then turn and use the next divot further up the nose of the crimp pliers and crimp it down. And I usually like to do like a circular motion, and then I also have another set of crimpers. Let me go ahead and show you those that are a little bit tighter, and I like to use these right here to make that tube even smaller. The quality of your crimp really matters because if you squeeze it too hard and they're cheap crimps, they may snap. That's happened to me before as well. So you have to have good quality crimps. Beadalon is a good brand to use if you're looking for good quality crimps, or sterling silver crimps are pretty good as well, pretty much any brand. But you want them to be nice and thick. You don't want thin ones because those are the ones that usually crack. So after you do that, go ahead and snip off the excess stretch cord, okay? And then you're going to take your crimp cover and very simply place it over the top, just like that, or underneath it, I should say, and get your crimpers and close it up. And I usually like to kind of work my way around it as well in a circular motion so that it ends up being round instead of egg-shaped. And be careful because you don't want to put a dent in that bead. Okay, and there you go. It's as simple as that. Very easy. You don't have to use glue. It's very strong. And by the way, when you're using stretch cord, I forgot to mention this, it's a good idea to give it a little stretch before you actually thread your beads on. Don't go crazy. You don't need to stretch it a million times. Just give it a good little stretch initially, thread your beads on, and then go ahead and finish the bracelet. All right, so these two are going to be done in the same manner. Get a crimp and then thread it on one end and take the other end, thread it through so they're kind of crossing each other, crimp it down, put your cover on. I'm going to go ahead and do these two, and I'll meet you back. Here are my 3 bracelets. And by the way, these are 6.5 inches long each because I have small wrists. So you're going to have to figure out how long you want them, obviously. But this is the one that had the crimp cover as a design element. And can you see where it is? You can barely see it. It's a little bit bigger than the other ones, the other silver beads, which are all 8/0 beads. But I believe it's, let me see, there it is, right there. But you can barely notice it. So that's one thing, that's one way to do it, figure out the center point, add a design element, a crimp bead, or a crimp bead cover, I should say. Here's the one that's in between the spacer beads. It's right there in the middle. and just work it into the design, and that way you don't have to worry about it, and you can customize the bracelets to whatever size you want. So that's how I do my stretch bracelets. And you know, they don't last forever, obviously. Stretch bracelets don't. It'd be, you know, much more durable to use beading thread, heavy beading thread and clasps. But there's nothing more convenient than sliding them on to your wrist without having to worry about, you know, clasps. So that's the collection, guys. I hope you've liked this tutorial. I know it was very simple, and I'm sure many of you already know how to do all of these techniques. But like I said, you know, if you're a beginner, this is mostly geared for you. And like I do every single time, I'm going to go ahead and put everything on except the earrings, because I don't want to, I'm going to give these earrings away or sell them, so I'm not going to put them on. But I'll put on the necklaces and come back and show you what it looks like. Well, I hope you've enjoyed today's tutorial. Here it is. I've got both necklaces on. Don't you just love how that looks? So sparkly, so summery looking. I can't wait to wear this summer. Actually, you can wear it anytime because it's a gemstone, and so, you know, with the right colors and the right occasion, you certainly can wear a beautiful layered look like this. And of course, I have my bracelets on, and I don't want to put the earrings on. Like I said earlier, I'm probably going to sell them or give them away, so I didn't want to put them on, but you can kind of see how they would look. Let me just take one and show you how pretty that looks. Anyway, guys, I hope you've enjoyed today's tutorial. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.